This game is called Idols of Ash. One of my friends recommended this game and he described it as a relaxing climbing simulator game. So let's take a look. By the way, this is my first time playing this game and I'm not a big fan of the noises I'm hearing. What the fuck was that thing? Alright, welcome to another episode of No Screams Attached. This is Idols of Ash, as the title suggests, and let's take a look what the game is all about. Other than the fact that this game is not relaxing, it is actually a climbing simulator or a upside down climbing simulator, because you're not climbing upwards, you're just descending further and further down all the time. There's not that much going on mechanic wise. You just throw the grappling hook. If it makes a ting sound, it means you grappled onto an actual good surface. If it doesn't, he's not grappled on, you're just gonna fall to your death. Just like that, the way I just did right there, but instead of taking damage, you just die and it's a game over. And the other big thing, as you notice from the intro, is this big guy right here. This giant monster centipede is the most popular thing about this game. It just keeps chasing you no matter where you are. It just finds its way to you. This was a terrible example, by the way, because this was the only time I've seen in all my playthroughs that the centipede didn't actually chase me.
Now that's a lot of damage!
As you saw, the falls are really forgiving. I fell from a pretty big height and I almost died. This thing we're looking at right now is health, basically. These are scattered all throughout the depths, the abyss that we're going to explore. And it's a very good thing because we're losing a lot of health from our falls. They made it this way on purpose, so it allows the player to play a bit more aggressively. As you'll see further down, when we descend and try to avoid the centipede, it's much easier to descend and discover new areas and new paths as you go further and further down. And speaking of centipede,
hello there.
and as you see here, I got spooked and I tried to panic grapple in any way I can so I won't die, and it worked. This is a terrible strategy, by the way. You should never do this. You should always be aware of where the centipede is and slowly try to descend into the abyss, but always being aware where the centipede is and how far it is from you, so you don't panic and you don't panic grapple like I did. This was my first death in the game. It's pretty visceral, as you can see. The sound effects and the way you fall is pretty intense. In a normal game, when you die, you come back to these things here that act as your checkpoints. Here I'm picking up in the same place where I died in the previous run. As you can see, this time the centipede is above me and is much closer to me, so I need to pick up the pace so it doesn't get me. I'm following like a similar path on the way down, with no deaths in the meantime. In the background you can see the next checkpoint. This is where I'm going right now. I also changed the way I grapple now. I grapple before I start my descent, which is not the most efficient way to do it, but it's definitely the safest. And as I'm descending, I'm checking backwards to see how close the centipede is to me, and we can see we're getting closer and closer to the checkpoint. Here I'm doing a very risky move where I'm jumping and throwing my grappling hook as far as I can. And I gotta tell you, this is like super stressful. But hey, once you hear that ting sound, it's all good. And hey, we did it. We made it to our first checkpoint. And the centipede is nowhere to be found, which is great news. Once we touch the checkpoint, we get a little bit of lore one more time, and we're ready to go further down. And oh yeah, maybe I need to mention this game has a story. You're not just like climbing down, getting chased by a centipede. From what I understand, you are from a small village and you lost someone dear to you, and you come in here to forget. But all these ashes, all these checkpoints keep giving you visions of the girl you lost, which is presumably your sister or your love interest. I don't know. Back to our descent. We're throwing the grapple, we're lowering down, and as you can see here, I'm doing this little move where you swing back and forth to gain some more distance. And I lose a tiny bit of health, which is all good, but I still need to find some health to replenish what I lost. Down there, there's that little orange light, which for me signifies like the halfway mark of the map. So once we reach that part, there's another little bit until the end of the game, which is great news. The difficult part is obviously getting to that. Over here, I'm trying another risky move where I'm trying to get as much momentum by swinging and then throwing my grappling hook as far as I can to try to reach that ledge and don't die. Yay, I did it! I'm telling you, there's like a huge relief once you nail these movements in the game. And I think it has to do with you not wanting to watch you fall to your death one more time. Because to me, hey, it takes too long till you fall to your death, and it's also so disturbing. And would you look at that? I died. So dying doesn't necessarily have you falling down to the ground of the cave to your death. You can also swing too hard against the wall because it's all, momentum based, movement based, which is good. It's really realistic, but it's also another extra layer of difficulty. Here I skipped forward a little bit until I made it just before the next checkpoint. As you can see, I'm much closer to the orange light area than I was before. And here's that bridge where it leads us to the next checkpoint. I am being very cautious with these first few runs. I'm always checking my back to see where the Centipede is. And I gotta tell you, the Centipede is way far back, is way too slow in the normal playthrough. And you don't really have to look back at all. When I play the Nightmare mode, of course, it's always right behind your back. So you can always hear the sound effects it makes. So you don't have to check. Little Easter egg here. This is where the checkpoint is. Once you resurrect in this checkpoint and you turn back from the bridge you came, you can see this little silhouette of a girl.
And it's gone.
Here I fast forward a little bit more when I'm just before the orange light area, and now I can hear clearly the Centipede making its way towards me, and I think it's pre-programmed that way. I think once you reach this area, the orange light area, the Centipede picks up the pace, becomes a little faster, and it's always a little bit closer to you. After the halfway point, it gives you some slack the first half, and now it just makes it slightly harder, because up to this point it wasn't nowhere near as close as it was for me to be able to hear, you know, its legs. Its steps. Other than the Centipede becoming faster, the climbing or descending also becomes more challenging. As you can see here, my checkpoint is broken, so there's no checkpoint. I think going forward, the jumping and the grappling needs to become more precise. As you can see, the architecture is more chaotic, and as I think the paths become less diverse. Now you get only 2 or 3 paths going down, and with the Centipede being faster, you have to be really good at finding those out before it gets you, because, you know, adding stress is another big factor. Once you have the Centipede closer to you, you're trying to avoid it and you make mistakes, and eventually you fall and you die. Now we grab this last bit of health, and to me this is like the worst part in the whole game, because as you can see, the Centipede is like right above me. It's very close to me. You panic and you say to yourself, oh my god, I need to like descend straight away to avoid this thing getting me, and you hear all this disgusting breathing, and then there's no other paths to go down, there's nothing to grab onto, and you die. So let's begin just before we died last time. That's where we picked the last bit of health. So yeah, this area it has, I think, 1 or 2 ways to go down. First being the one I'm doing right now, the one where you find this little gap in between the structures and you lower down, and there's this little thing extruding from the wall that you use to reach the next level here. Now I believe once you reach this level, that's just before the next area, there is another health item at the back that I clearly didn't pick up, but you look for this thing that sticks out that looks like a bridge, and that's where you can find the ledges underneath it to go down safely. This tiny little gap, this tiny little ledge, and there is this area where you go inside, giant tall tower building thing, and I'm very lucky at this point because the Centipede is not right at my tail, and I can take my time and make sure I descend safely. I don't lose a whole bunch of health. Normally at this point in the game I have very little health because I'm not very cautious with my descents, but good thing I have more than half health, and we can take some risks further down if needed to. Now I begin hearing the Centipede making its way to me. It's reaching up to me, so I am very cautious of where it is. Try to be as fast as I can and safe as I can while going down. We finally reach the next level, or the next ring. Yeah, there's a little bit of health at this point, which is good. We take it, and there's another little bridge that I'm looking back to see where this thing is. This little bridge again that goes all the way to the end of this connecting bridge between those 2 big structures, and obviously the Centipede is coming behind you. And clearly I'm panicking again, and I cannot think clearly, and I keep messing up these 2 grapple throws, which clearly I should have gone to the end of the bridge and then throw it from there, which is much easier, and I can also jump down safely. But I choose the risky route, and I jump and throw it at the same time. And of course, one time wasn't enough, I do it again! Now in hindsight, this looks silly to me, because once you get into the habit of playing Nightmare mode, these things become like a habit, and you have to do them in order to be fast and to escape the Centipede. That's much faster. Now after all that, we finally make it to the last area of the game, as you can see by these trees that they are made by the ashes, I believe, from each checkpoint. These are all like illusions. If you go near them, they disappear, like the girl from earlier. Now I tried to descend from there, but that didn't work, so I came back up, and that gave the Centipede time to catch up to me, and now you can hear its little disgusting steps. What I really want to do at this point is literally just get the health and try to descend as quickly as I can, because I've been here before. I've died like a bunch of times. I know it's not that difficult at this point. to finish the game, just to be safe and just to be able to take longer jumps, longer falls. Now in my head I can hear the steps clearly. I know the centipede is very close to me, but if I remember correctly, it's not as easy for the centipede to actually get to you while you're in this middle part. It needs to like go down and then go up, and I can see it like right here. Disgusting. Now we finally make it to the last stretch of the game. You can see right there at the very bottom, the beam of light is where the game ends. And I'll tell you, this area really reminds me of like Dark Souls or Demon Souls, where he always has like a falling down platforming section. But at this point, I believe there's nothing stressful going on. Like the centipede apparently is way behind me. I can't even hear its little disgusting legs. So it's pretty much just me trying to find the best possible way to go down. And in my opinion, going towards the end, towards the wall, and then eventually descending is the safest and the most efficient way to go down. Yeah, once you have time, you can explore, you can find different paths and different little ledges that you can use. And the run is almost done. Here you can see the final hole that you're going into. I'm being way too cautious with my jumps and my grapples at this moment. I have so little health. I don't want to die. I don't want to ruin this. Because yeah, after a certain point, yeah, the game doesn't give you any more checkpoints. So if I die, I'm way before even the halfway mark. Here I got a little bit paranoid. I thought this is way too easy. Maybe that disgusting centipede is somewhere waiting for me to go in and then attack me. But no, let's do it. Oh, did I die? No, this is what actually happened. It's all scripted. And thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far through the video, that means you watched the whole thing. I really appreciate it. I spent a lot of time making this video. And yeah, make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks!